have here? It's a 1948 Studebaker pickup truck that did not look like this a few minutes ago. Take a look. This thing, what is it? It's a 1948 Studebaker pickup truck, and it's powered by a 1971 Ford Torino 302 engine and transmission. It runs and drives, it purrs like a kitten actually, and we were shocked to see this tiny little V8 in there that runs perfect. It's not getting a motor swap, it's not getting anything yet. The first thing we're going to do is spray some color on it. I'm going to do a quickie paint job. I'm going to build a little makeshift booth in here, and I'm going to spray this thing. So I wanted to document it, you know, show on the channel what it is before I got to spraying it. But it's in amazing condition for a northern vehicle. Everything in this area has rust on it. If it's 5 years old, it's got rust on it. This is from 1948. I don't expect that it lived in this state its entire life, but I do know that we're calling it the Ugly Duckling for obvious reasons. Hideous, this thing. It's bogus. But it's got great wheels on it. It's got an engine and trans that run. Heck, it's got an interior in it. I mean, look. This is not a hateful truck at all. Of course, we got to do these. The door jamb's got to be painted. This multicolored nonsense. I understand how it can happen, you know, over the years. We're going to refinish those. But yeah, I need to get started on this, and I just wanted to show you the before, and we'll touch a few bases in between, and then you'll see the after. Always got to cover the things you care about, because the dust will get into the fabric and then it's everywhere. But that's basically what has been going on since yesterday. So yeah, we had a couple little spots to fill, reshape the front of this. It just had a few like waves that are really going to show up when you paint it, so I wanted to get them smoothed out, which I've done that. I still got some more sanding to do with a finer grade. We did these, just touched them up so that they look fresh. I wanted them to look old, so they're cool. That was a nice piece of hardwood. I don't know where they got that. I wish these were made like that, but what are you gonna do? They fit really, really well. I have to sand all this red with, you know, 400 and then probably 600 or something, but whatever I have, that's what I'm going to use. It's going to be way better no matter what. So I just wanted to show you, oh, we've got the emblem. I'm going to sandblast these items and make them bare metal, and if the finish is halfway decent, we'll leave them, and if it's really, really bad, we'll paint them silver. Just like that bumper. That bumper's hideous. Who would have painted that yellow? I just don't get it. But hey, all right, I gotta get to work. Yesterday was a long day, and that's why. I painted the truck. Now it's only one coat of single stage Summit paint, and it really needs wet sanded and a couple more coats, but I'm gonna do this grill in a gray and black mix. And I still have to do these door jambs, which I will do today actually. I'm gonna paint the floor of the bed white. There's some touch-ups, but basically that's it. So let me get to finishing this thing. It's not bad. I mean, overall it's, you know, a driver quality. A painter could do a 10 times better job. I just wanted it all one color because it was such an eyesore. So anyway, there you go. There's the Ugly Duckling. I turned that thing from the coat of many colors into at least it's all one color, and I like the way it looks now. It's much more presentable. not this cool. The last video we did, my nephew and I took the engine out of this car, and since then I found a crate engine. I'm going to show you a little bit more about it. Let me get all these protective covers off of this thing, and I'll show you what we actually have here, because we found a replacement engine and it's very, very cool. So what we have in this 1973 Rally Sport Camaro is a ZZ4 GM Performance crate engine. So it has aluminum heads, and it's got a mild cam in it, and a dual plane intake, and a Street Avenger 670 carb. We've got long tube headers, we've got a crossover pipe underneath, and a couple of Flowmasters going out the back. We have in fact started this thing. This is a very cool car, and I put the engine in trans in, and I was excited about firing it up, and that's all well and good. And this is an automatic shifter. It's a Hurst aftermarket automatic transmission shifter, and it works. But had I noticed this one special thing underneath this vehicle, I may not have used the brand new transmission that we have inside of it. Look at what that is. Anybody hip to that? That's a clutch pedal. This was a stick shift car. Now, it doesn't say that when you decode the VIN, and because we have all the receipts for this vehicle when it was originally built by a family friend in the 90s, this entire build has less than 1,000 miles on it, so why would I get rid of the 350 turbo trans and the brand new torque converter that are in it? I wouldn't, and that's the reason I mated them together, dropped them in, they sat right on the mounts, and I started to hook it up. I didn't even notice that clutch pedal until I had no signal to the automatic choke, and I looked under the dash to check the fuses, and the clutch pedal zip tied up. I thought, well, gosh dang it, I should have put this in. And I'm not saying it's not going to be a stick shift car later, but for right now, we need this thing out on the road. And you can see the original engine, which was very, very cool. I mean, it was girdled, and I mean, it was a cool engine, but it had a flat cam, and it was just basically needed to go to a machine shop. My nephew and I pulled it out, and then I found this one and got it put in. It does run. I'm going to fire it up for you. There is one thing I will say, is that it has a mini starter on it that makes it easier to clear the headers. And it needs to be shimmed. So when you first start it, the starter gear hangs up for a little bit. It's not real loud, but it's more like a hiss. I'm not sure what you'll hear on camera, but in person it sounds like a hiss until that starter gear lets go and comes off of the flex plate. So no prejudging on the sound of the startup, but you can tell the engine is totally healthy, and it's got great fuel pressure, new fuel system. It's got a posi rear end. This thing's ready to rip tires down the road. Speaking of tires, we need new ones, otherwise I would set it on the ground and take you along for a ride, because we have driven it around local, real short distances, popped the radiator hose off, and we had a geyser. So that was a right away hurry up and clean it up. But let me connect the battery and we'll start this thing up for you. There's a few loose ends. We got to button up, like, I think the base of the carb is leaking. Yeah, that's definitely fuel. I'm not sure if it's the bottom of the accelerator pump or whatever, but it's not ready to hit the road yet. We got to wire in the fans. They're on temporary. We got to get the spark plug wire holders mounted to these valve covers, because these plug wire retainers were for the other engine, which had the older style valve covers, and these are center bolt. We got a little drip on the trans. I want to shim the starter, and there's a few other little things that need to be done before we set this thing down and get them rotating. But it's going to be very cool. We're very excited about this car, and it's got a great story. If you want to hear the full story, you can go back and look at the other video we posted on this Camaro just recently, maybe a month ago. It's been in my friends' lives for the last 30 years. It's like a 2-owner car. It was restored in the 90s. It's fantastic. Go check that video out. Me and nephew Alex had a lot of fun taking that motor out. He's a wisecracker, that guy. But yeah, I just wanted to show you this car. So let's take a look at some of the other stuff that's happening. The next thing I want to update you on is this 1974 F100. What's so special about this truck, other than it's a long bed, it's a 74, and it's virtually rust-free? Some of the more attentive viewers, or ones that have been watching this channel for a long time, might remember this truck from a couple of years ago when I initially built it. It's back here for some new upgrades. What makes this thing so rowdy is, if you look close, see that there? Willwood. 4-piston in the back, 6-piston in the front. American racing wheels. It's lowered. Underneath is full-on race car. It is QA1, 4-link in the rear, coilovers all the way around, big giant disc brakes, and it's Coyote swapped. That's right. This thing is a nasty little beast. It's a Mustang engine and 10-speed automatic. This is a Gen 3 Coyote motor, makes around 430-ish horsepower, and Willwood discs. We're utilizing an electric power steering on this, which we are actually upgrading. The feel when you drive this truck is not confidence inspiring, so we're going to get rid of the factory steering column, the electric power steering, and we're going to bolt on a front drive assembly that'll give us the feel of a race car, because what good is the power of a race car if you can't drive it comfortably, right? We're also going to do a bunch of interior upgrades with a mild color change. We're going black door panels, black seats, some new carpet. We're just going to make it newer, more updated. It's great to drive, but the doors rattle. Everything inside the doors needs to be replaced. And we have got a ton of parts loaded in the back of this, getting ready to do that. I don't want to close the hood without letting you hear this thing. Done the digital dash in here. I don't know if you can see that. There it is. A lot of time went into this one. But what do we have here? This is a 1MZ FE Toyota and Lexus, use them both, 60-degree V6 with an automatic trans. I don't care about this automatic trans. We're going to take that off. There's a manual that fits on these that comes from the MR2 and the Toyota Solara. What makes these things cool is you can fit them in the back of an MR2, a Toyota MR2. What's an MR2, you ask? Well,
from the mid-80s to the mid-90s, there were 2 different versions and ended up being 3 versions, but the 3rd version we're not going to talk about because that's as hairdresser of a car as you can get, and nobody wants those. But the Gen 1 and the Gen 2s, which was like 91 to 95, very few 93s, 4s, and 5s were sold in America, but it's actually a mid-engine car that you can use these front-wheel drive engines in. I've built a few of them, in fact. If you go back to some of the earliest videos from over 10 years ago now, I've done a few of these V6 swaps in those MR2s, and I can tell you from personal experience, they will whoop a Mustang's ass. They will. Not a new Coyote Mustang, but the older ones, no problem. Smoke them. And they handle better because they have near 50-50 weight distribution. The story of how I got this engine really isn't important other than the fact I got stuck with it. That's all I'm going to tell you. I told someone, hey, that'll fit in your thing, and they said, it will, I'll buy it. Oh, I got stuck with it. So you know me, I'm never one that's going to throw anything good away. I like to keep things. Matter of fact, check this little thing out. I had never seen this before, and the old guy Ray that hangs out, he's 87 years old, said this was in his brother's house for years and years, and it was covered in house paint. I took it all apart and cleaned it up. It's actually called a post vise or a leg vise, and it's used for blacksmithing, and I guess the reason is you can clamp something in here and pound on it like really, really hard, and you can shape hot metal. Cool thing about it is they're worth a little bit of money, not much, but the fact of the matter is it's a 1912. Like, that's 100 and some years old. It's so cool. I have no use for it, but I cleaned it up and there was no way I was going to throw it away, so I know I'll find a home for it eventually. But I just thought that was very cool. 1912 post vise for blacksmithing and gunsmithing, but it's very cool and you don't see that very much. So there you go. So yeah, I keep things, and when they find their way to me, I like to find a home for them. So right now, we're talking about getting a right-hand drive MR2 from the UK, bringing it here, and I'm gonna V6 swap it. But it's all in the talk stages at the moment. I'm not sure how it's gonna turn out, but I do know that this has decent miles for one of these. The motor's good, it's clean, even the trans works. I'm never gonna use an automatic transmission in this. The manual transmission is what makes it fun, let's face it. So I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen, but I want you to definitely keep your mind on these. And if you have a 91 through 95 MR2 and you don't want $1 million for it, message me because I am looking for one of those. That little V6 engine, when that ends up in something, is going to be amazing. So this is next up. We're doing a few little things before we get to Camaro on the road. And this is next up. We're going to put that interior in, change the steering column. And I think I have a parking lot around here where we might actually spin this thing around a couple of times. So make sure you stay tuned. Speaking of stay tuned, I'm sporting my Angelo's Gym Garage, which is another channel that's very awesome. These guys are super cool. It's called Stay Tuned, and it's on YouTube. He used to be on the Hot Rod Garage show, and he's, you know, friends with the Roadkill guys. Very cool show. I dig them. They're right over in Pennsylvania. Be sure to take a look at some of the other videos that are on this Grenade Motorsports YouTube channel because there's a lot of really cool content in the last 5 years that, you know, seems to fly under the radar. And I was talking to Mike Brewer from Wheeler Dealers a few years back, and he actually had found my channel and he copied a couple of the videos, the ideas from them. And I'm sure he spread the word, and I don't want to say anything other than I asked him about it and he goes, well, the ideas have to come from somewhere now, don't they? And he sent me some shirts, and it was cool, and that's great and everything. But this channel is, it's growing slow, and that's fine. You know, I don't mind. I don't really do it for fame and fortune. I kind of do it as a creative expression, and this truck is part of that creative expression. The Camaro, the Subaru, all of the things we do here are creative expression, including making the videos. So please remember to like, subscribe, and share. Make sure you check out some of the old videos. Come back, see this thing on the road, see the Camaro on the road. Thanks, and I'll see you soon.